Scottie Pippens' expansive Fort Lauderdale property includes a pool and a waterslide. Getty Images Steve Keith and Mark Chapman composite. When you think of the Chicago Bulls teams that dominated basketball in the 1990s with 6 NBA championships, the name Michael Jordan immediately jumps to mind. But nearly equally as key to the running of the Bulls was the presence of 7-time All-Star Scottie Pippen. Winning 6 NBA titles with the greatest basketball player of all time makes you sort of a big deal. It made Pippen a Basketball Hall of Famer and allowed him to buy this big deal house, a 10,484 square foot behemoth in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. However, he's been trying to sell the mega mansion since 2009. Priced at $16 million nearly a decade ago, it's still languishing on the market for $10.9 million. But now, there's an opportunity to live like a big baller on a short-term basis. For a cool $40,000 a month, you can rent Pippen's Italian-style waterfront mansion. Dubbed Villa del Lago, the 6-bedroom home sits just 5 minutes from deep-water access and includes a 205-foot-long concrete dock. You can easily take out your yacht after practicing your shooting touch on the property's Bass-size basketball court. Other amenities include a pool with slide and waterfalls, a sunbathing platform, large patio, putting green and room for a 200-foot yacht. Inside, you can work on your muscle tone in the gym and watch some game footage or really any movie in the home theater. Stone countertops grace the commercial-grade kitchen, and ornate wood furnishings are featured throughout the interior. Columns decorate the inside and outside of the house. Pippen also won 2 Olympic gold medals over the course of his 17-year NBA career. Recently, he's been embroiled in a bit of divorce drama with ex-wife and former Real Housewives of Miami star Larsa Pippen. Steve Keith and Mark Chapman. 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 Up next.